Hi everyone and welcome again to my channel. Thank you for joining me. Today I want to talk about 5 things I let go in 2016. The first thing is being perfect. Let's face it, nobody is perfect. So 10 years ago I did a test. It was more for fun. To check if I'm a perfectionist or not. And as I was doing the test, I was thinking to myself, I'm not a perfectionist because everything I do is not perfect, and I'm just like not perfect, so I'm not a perfectionist. But as I was adding up the answers, I realized I am a perfectionist, because perfectionism is not about being perfect or thinking as yourself as being perfect, but it is like you want to do everything perfect, and if it's not perfect you can't release it or show it or do it if you're not sure it's gonna be perfect. So I was guilty of being a perfectionist, and I'm still trying not to be. Sometimes I'm struggling with it, but most of the times now I say it's better done than perfect. For instance, now I'm working on my new site, and I'm working on it for months already, and I really want it to be nice, but there's a difference between nice and perfect. So now it's not perfect, it's not done, but I'm going to release it because it's better done than perfect. Feeling guilty, let's face it, we all feel guilty for time to time. We're feeling guilty towards our partner, towards our children, and it's dragging us down. You're walking around with the feeling, oh, I should have done this, and why didn't I say this? I could have done more. And to be true, it is dragging us down, taking a lot of energy from us. So now every time I'm feeling guilty, first of all, I recognize it, I give it a place. I'm asking myself why I'm feeling guilty, instead of going into my head, you're guilty, you didn't do this, you didn't, you should have, you could have. So I'm giving it a second of my thoughts, and then I'm changing my mindset, changing the sentence, you did the best that you could at that situation, at that time, with the tools you had then. And that's it. Then you can release it and be free of the guilt trip. Most of the time we have like common knowledge and things we think about a situation or about people, and we assume a lot. So I let go of the assuming, because when you assume something, you don't know the whole story. You just know your side of the story, but you don't know the other side of the story. So I'll give you an example. I was working with a client on a project, and it was a very long project because we decorated the whole house, and at the end of the project there was no money left. So we decided to wait a little bit, but the plans and everything was already done. So after a few months I went on Facebook and I saw pictures of her working space, and it was amazing. It was exactly like we imagined it, and it was like the colors and the tables and everything was in place, and it looks very, very nice. So she was putting the pictures up on Facebook, and she said, look at my working space, and look, you're all invited, and this and that. And she didn't tag me, and she didn't say anything about my design and my involvement in the project. So I was like, oh, what happened? Maybe she didn't like me, maybe she's angry at me, and all kind of things just went through my head. And then I stopped and I realized what I was doing, and I stopped and I said, listen, you're assuming again. Just pick up the phone and call her and ask her what's going on. So I did. I called her up and I said, listen, this and that, it turns out great, and I love it, and I love it that you went through with the plans and everything, but is there anything wrong? Are you angry at me, or are you disappointed at me? because you didn't tag me, or you didn't put out my name there. And she said, no, oh my God, no, it wasn't what I was going for. I was on my way in the train and my phone wasn't working right. I just want to be proud and put the pictures up, and I was planning a whole different post about you and your involvement in the project, and no, don't think that, and this and that. So I hung up the phone and I was really happy about myself. And I realized once again, you can't assume anything. It's just your story, your insecurity, or your feeling at that moment that is making the story, and it's not always that. So stop assuming and ask, just ask, be open and ask things, and you will see that it's not always what you were thinking originally. So I used to make very long and specific to-do lists, and it was so overwhelming that I didn't want to do anything at all. I just looked at the to-do list and I said, I'm not gonna do it. So what I did was making smaller lists. I was asking about everything I put on the list. I was asking myself, is it really necessary and is it really urgent? I put my list on only a few things, also in the business. I wanted to do very big things in the business, and I wanted to achieve. And it's good to have dreams or goals, and it's very good, but don't have so many goals. Just look at the list and see what goals are very important, what can you achieve like the next month, but don't put everything on one list. Maybe you can make different lists, one list for this month and a bigger list for the rest, or separate lists for home, things you have to do for the home and things you have to do for the business or whatever. Just make smaller lists, because the big lists are going to be very overwhelming. So smaller lists and priorities are very good. The thing I let go of in 2016 is my bra. So now I want to hear from you. What did you let go in 2016? I want to hear you in the comments below. Thank you for joining me, and subscribe because I have more coming. So till next time, be you, be true, good vibes and lots of energy and love. Bye!